Oh, hello, friends. Sorry, I didn't see you there. I was busy smoking this bong rip. Anyway, I decided to title this episode of Talking with Famous People live stream C.S. Joseph to see how many people showed up. I bet you a lot of people will show up with that. Hello, Jessica Moore. Hello, 7 of 11. 7 of 9, I mean. That's 2. Um, Mad Biscuit 23. It's been a while. It's been since last night for me, but it's been a while for you and me, I guess. Hi, Rowan Morgan. Hey. I've been tricked, said Dominic McCool. Have you? Oh, we're talking all about C.S. Joseph. C.S. Joseph's notions of typology. I mean, wow. Talk about a guy who's got it all figured out. I am working hard. Smirnoff Peach for me. Is that how you say preach to me? Anyway, I figured if I titled it C.S. Joseph, I'm reaching out to him right now. I'm reaching out to him in this live stream. C.S. Joseph, dampen my tenders. I'm here. Dangle your tenders into my dampness. Kind of indirect. The title of the live stream is C.S. Joseph. Come on, C.S. Joseph. Here, C.S. Joseph, Joseph. Here, boy. I mean, I don't know how much more straightforward I can be in my calling to him. I've named the very live stream itself C.S. Joseph. Thus far, I've spoken his name many times, myriad times. Most of the words in this live stream will contain the letters C and or S, or the word Joseph. If I'm not talking about C.S. Joseph, I'm going to be talking about Joseph and Mary from Christianity. If I'm not talking about C.S. Joseph, I'm going to be talking about CSP, which is like ESP, except with a C in front of it. So, you know, this is nothing clickbaity here. Nothing clickbaity at all. I am not denying the viewing audience any discussion of C.S. Joseph. Yeah, I got a whiteboard around there somewhere. I have some facial hair already, but I guess I could grow some more. I don't know what his facial hair looks like right now. Anyway, guys, listen. I'm an ETP. You can see it on my whiteboard. If you doubt that I'm an ETP, you're not looking hard enough at my whiteboard, okay? Gah, it's obvious. First of all, I see his Joseph make shit tons of hilarious jokes. This was a test of the emergency broadcast system. So that's one reason we know I'm an ETP. Another, have I mentioned my whiteboard? It's my handwriting's not that neat. ENTP. Obviously, I'm an ENTP because, you know, I'm C.S. Joseph, y'all. So anyway, if you came here to see C.S. Joseph, you're incorrect. But I am not being clickbaity at all because I don't have C.S. Joseph here beside me. I've got the spirit of C.S. Joseph in my heart, and I'm ready to bring C.S. Joseph to life today, tomorrow, and every day. Okay? So if you're like, God, I wish I could watch C.S. Joseph's live stream right now, and you're here and you're saying, oh, thank God, he's at least talking about C.S. Joseph. Really? Well, really? I just decided to title this live stream C.S. Joseph to see how many more people showed up than usual. You know, he's a little bit more popular than me, so I might as well milk that by talking about him. He is someone who represents to me everything I aspire to in the typological community. Things like, being completely wrong, and I have 4 sides to my mind, and they are ready to receive the spirit of C.S. Joseph's lecture. It's true. Almost at 5K. I've been almost at 5K for quite a long time now. I've got 4,975 or whatever. Okay. Well, let me read this thing. Eric, you were right about IQ just being a test, but psychometricians admit that to be the case and say that IQ is an indicator of the component G. I don't know what the component G is. You'd have to explain that to me. Most people don't think of it like that. It may be the case that psychometricians agree with me, but that's not how most people use the term. Right? So what's the issue with C.S. Joseph? He's not a psychometrician. That's the issue with C.S. Joseph. He's not a psychometrician. I don't know. I was having a live stream, I think it was yesterday or whatever, the day before. There was an ongoing series of jokes about C.S. Joseph smoking poles. Not made by me, keep in mind, okay? And I just thought, wow, there's a lot of interest in C.S. Joseph. I should make a live stream where I just shower the live stream with C.S. Joseph. Like the words, the spirit, the moisture, the guys, 4 sides of the mind, everything. I've decided to become a C.S. Joseph disciple. I'm hoping he'll still have me after I've maybe not been entirely nice to him heretofore. But he really brought it on himself. He really did. He starts talking shit sometimes. And, you are not familiar with Charles Spearman G factor. I thought you were. No, I am not. You'll have to explain it to me. Well, G is basically general intelligence. So instead of having intelligence comprised of single vectors, it is a generalized ability. Okay, well, but I mean, the point is to divide intelligence into non-generalized things is to give it articulatable meaning by making distinctions. To say that there aren't any distinctions, or to say that there's a form of intelligence that's generalized, which is to say that there's a form of intelligence in which there's not any distinctions, is to not do anything meaningful. But if he's saying, we'll call it G, then it's not in any way distinct from IQ itself. It's just whatever, Hello, Susie. Susie, did you get that email I sent you with that info, or maybe it was a Facebook message? I think it was an email with the card stuff. Oh, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. Righteous. So, let's see. Wait, I had an interview with him, C.S. Joseph? In my dreams, I had an interview with him last night. I had a spiritual connection, I think, when I was sleeping. And no, I haven't read Ted Kaczynski, Industrial Revolution. Eco-terrorism is not one of my advocacies. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Am I still token like Tolkien? That's what I'm about to do right now, yeah. I'm not impressed by ideologues in general. So in my dream, I realized suddenly that what was stopping me from being a disciple of C.S. Joseph was a failure to recognize one of my four sides of my mind. So I was basically operating like a three-sided mind. But in the dream, C.S. Joseph arrived on top of a white horse, and he was holding a large mind side, and he placed it gently into the slots and slid it down, completing my four-sided mind. Finally was like, Papa, square! And that's when I knew. That's when I knew. Well, look, Susie, it used to be for a long time I was in my ESFP meta shadow. But inside number 3, what I did is I converted to an INTJ for a while. Inside number 2, I became, I'm not sure, something else. I have to find out from the master, who learned from his master. It's kind of like being a Sith Lord, being a C.S. Joseph is. If you're a C.S. Joseph, he talks about his mentor a lot. What he doesn't mention is that he killed him and took his place. And so if I ever attain the wisdom of the master, I guess I don't think C.S. Joseph actually killed him. I think once you pass the wisdom of the master, the master just automatically dies and you take his place. And I think that's maybe what's going to happen someday when I learn everything that C.S. Joseph had to teach me. I think that's what the dream means. As a professional dream interpreter, you can count on my dream interpretations as being objectively true. Okay. So a lot of dream interpretations are just, you might say interpretations or subjective or something, but my dream interpretations are objectively true. So that's why I know that someday I will become the new C.S. Joseph. My name will change, actually, to C.S. Joseph eventually. His mentor's name was C.S. Joseph. There's a long line of self-development Sith Lord C.S. Josephs, of which hopefully I will be the next. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people in line for that job, but he's got a lot of whatever Jedi are called when they're Sith apprentices. But I feel pretty capable. You know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be an ENTP like him. I'm going to use my TE and my NI. I'm going to solve this problem. And that's what it means to be a good ENTP, right? Because now you're not wasting your time with expert intuition, expert thinking, which are stupid. So, you know, I wouldn't be the third. It'd be like the 300th. This has been going on for a long time. It links to the, what do you call them? Knights of the Templar. They're involved in a lot of this shit. All kinds of this stuff. We got treasure hidden in an island somewhere, and you got it buried, dig it down, and there's traps and booby traps, and despite the sound of them, booby traps do not involve any boobies. Okay, so just to get that out of your thought right now. Okay, trust me, I've gone there, I've tried that. There are no boobies in the booby traps. What pissed me off this time? The lack of boobs and booby traps. I'm not having it. I'm not having any more of that deceptive naming. That's how people get their hands chopped off. Okay. Kangan Krishna says, have you ever tried DMT, LSD, mushrooms? I've done acid and mushrooms before. Many times. I stopped doing acid fairly young, like in my 20s. I stopped doing acid, and then I did it again maybe a year ago. It was all right. It wasn't as strong as the acid I did when I was a kid. You know, back in the day, acid was stronger, I think. Mushrooms is the same as it's always been, which is great. You know, and but I don't think they do anything in terms of like giving you wisdom or enlightenment or bullshit like that. I don't think I learned anything from them. I mean, it is true that mushrooms have a positive net impact on my general well-being. Okay, that usually takes some time to fade away. But okay, but what makes the definition what makes it mechanical in some sense, or is it just an arbitrary grabbing of things that are generally known as? You know, that'd be my question, Mad Biscuit 23. The Dread C.S. Joseph, yeah, it kind of is more like that really than a Sith Lord. You're right. It's more like the Dread Pirate Roberts. Okay. Except instead of bringing Dread Piracy, this pirate brings the loot of truth, the booty of truth, of the one true vision, the four-sided truth that is the human being. Eric, why would the military appeal to an ENTP? Bernally, the military would appeal to an ENTP because the ENTP wants discipline and understands on some level that they function best when they have external discipline helping to dictate their course of action, and that it's easy for them to be undisciplined when they require self-discipline. If the ENTP is self-aware about that, that may be one reason why they want to join the military. G isn't involved with everything. It's confined within an extensive range of factors, but isn't extended to everything. So, but I'm saying is, but why are the things that it's included in its range of factors included, and why are things excluded? Is there some sort of operationalized definition that is a criterion made into a criterion definition that justifies things and allows you to do things with this? Or is it just an arbitrary, well, let's include these things that are commonly known as? Is it sort of that kind of gathering of these things make sense to include, or is it actually, is there some sort of mechanics involved behind it? Just think about it. It's just confusing people when you get things like that. Merit. But for all we know, it's just his dad or his mom if he didn't have a dad, or social worker, OG foster parent, who knows? Well, it doesn't matter who it is, but having a mentor is fine. It just shows that he's willing to learn and has learned from somebody that it's sort of the only merit it gives to the argumentation is to say is that it takes away the possibility of somebody going, you're making this up, or you just want to be right. By sending away ownership of the idea away from himself, he doesn't have to defend his own motivational calculus very much. That's the only thing it does as an argument, right? And that's a weak argument to make for sure. It's an incredibly weak argument to make because it doesn't matter what the fuck his motivations are. You know, if he's right, it'll withstand scrutiny. If he's wrong, it won't withstand scrutiny. It doesn't withstand scrutiny because it's an entirely arbitrary metaphor. So, you know, that's the problem with C.S. Joseph's and stuff in general, is that it's completely arbitrary metaphor. It doesn't matter whether he got it from a mentor, from himself, from his mom, or from Carl Jung's ghost. It doesn't fucking matter. It still doesn't withstand scrutiny on its own merits as argumentation. That's what I have to say about that. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. C.S. Joseph is a big metaphor lover. He's a big metaphor lover, okay? That's about the nastiest thing I will say about C.S. Joseph, really. I don't really have a problem with the guy. I'm just saying his capacity, his ability to handle the liquor of his wrongness is astonishing. And in the wrongness chugging contest, he's drinking me under the table. I mean, I'm not even in that contest, but if I were, I'd be long since, you know. For most people, it's quite easy to see how he utilizes his mentor statements, I think. I mean, what I just explained, I don't think is necessarily, I think it helps people to hear it explained in that fashion, you know, because I think everybody sort of gets that's what it does, but they don't really necessarily have they don't necessarily have a reason to, whatever. I've got distracted by the fact that female ENTP and God came in here and immediately said bye. An odd beginning to their arrival. Santa Claus says, damn, C.S. Joseph makes all ENTJs look like dicks. C.S. Joseph is off the good list for his behaviorism bullshit. Thank you for using the word behaviorism, Santa Claus. That's a good point. If I wanted to nutshell some of what's wrong with C.S. Joseph, he's got a behaviorist vibe about him that we can train ourselves and Hoopla 10. 4 sides of the mind, each with a different perspective. I am now an ESTP. The vodka shifted me into my dual. Oh, it did? Hi, ESTP 7 of 9. You should now smoke some weed and you'll become a ISTJ. Then you've got, the other thing with the 4 sides of the mind is what he doesn't realize is the 4 sides of the mind imply 2 more sides, the top and the bottom. Maybe there are actually 6 sides to the mind. I feel like I just leveled up in the Dread Pirate Roberts C.S. Joseph hierarchy. 6 sides to the mind, everybody. 6. You actually get to be 6 different types. Okay? 6 different types. You're just repping the Trinity. I'm just repping the duality. And he's just repping singularity. So what the fuck's up with that? No, not 16 sides, Ron Morgan. 6 or 36 sides. One of the two. Because it could be a cube of a cube. So, since 2 cubes is it would be not 36, but 36 times 6. 198. Okay, so 198 subtypes. 198 sides to the mind. There are 198 different types you can be, depending on which cube you're in. Okay? And what you straddle 2 cubes. Life is the process of straddling 2 cubes. And as your left leg plunges into one of the sides of one of the cubes, and your right leg plunges into one of the sides of the other cube, they're spinning. And wherever your feet go, pya, and it stops it, that's the personality type you're manifesting at that moment. And that'll be comprised of a function stack, just like they say in cognitive functions. And so, which 198 pyas you have available to you, well, that's going to determine which of the things you are. See? It's about 2 cubes and a pork pie hat. As C.S. Joseph always says, it's like 2 cubes and a pork pie hat. Now, one thing we know is that C.S. Joseph is clearly an ENTP because he's always saying random shit like that, It's 2 cubes and a pork pie hat. There's something you'll hear from his mouth a lot. And shit like that, He's always doing live streams that are responsive to what everyone's saying and welcoming of critique and dissent, right? In terms of how G is described is as a non-tangible sort of phenomenon which cannot be directly measured, so it is correlated with things that seem to fit the description of what it is. What? Did you read that yourself? Do I need to even tell you what that little package was filled with? Can you tell me what that package is filled with? I bet you can. There's 512 sides so that you can be one of each of DSP's types. No, because there's 6 sides, but it's 6 times 6 times 6. Okay, because there are 4 sides, but there are 3 cubes.
Brenda Lee came back?
Really? Yeah, she was here yesterday too. You missed out on it. When she arrived, I turned around to see if you were here. Aww. You weren't in the room. Am I joking? Just think about it, asks me. Well, yes, I am. Okay. So it seems there's no real way to break it down. Yeah, that doesn't really sound like a meaningful thing there, particularly Mad Biscuit. Hi, say 5 things you like about INFPs. Bye. They smell good. They've got feelings. They
long nails, boobies,
yeah,
and long legs.
Yeah, something like that. All right, so I still have not objectively disproven C.S. Joseph. You throw out overly complex drivel. Joseph is more accurate. Stop bullying him. He's a nice guy. Okay, well, the thing is, the last sentence, you can. This is what you really mean in this. Okay, you still not objectively disproven C.S. Joseph. That's you want to mean that, but whatever that means, you don't even know what it means to disprove something or not. What I'm saying, you're not even addressing my claims at all, which are that he's entirely metaphor, right? He's not talking about anything except he's being metaphorical about shit. Now, what you really mean, and which is a fair enough point to make, is stop bullying him. He's a nice guy, except for the fact that he's got how many subscribers? He's over twice my size. How am I bullying him about his expertise? He's out there claiming to be an expert about this shit, to be correct, to the exclusion of others when others disagree. I have asked him nicely plenty of times before to come debate me about the shit. He wants nothing to do with it. So how am I bullying him? How? Let's see. He's not a nice guy, says Leo Bella.
I already said jerk.
C.S. Joseph is now dating a near 50-year-old INTJ, in quotes. 20-year-old dating a 60-year-old? She said near 50. He is mentally ill and emotionally toxic. I plan on exposing much of his BS over time, but logically, of course. Okay, well, I've never made any such claims, by the way. I want to stress that in all of my critiques of C.S. Joseph, I have never claimed he's mentally ill or emotionally toxic. I just have a little fun at the guy's expense, but I mean, like I said, he's a well-deserving target. I am not picking on some little channel here that isn't making bold claims. He's making a lot of bold claims, There's nothing wrong with that, but you do subject yourself to criticism.
Exactly. Just as Eric does.
Just as I am subject to the criticism that I'm being a bully here. Well, I'm defending myself on that point. I'm saying in this context, I don't think that's a fair criticism. How am I bullying him? He's way bigger and more successful than I am. I'm sure he makes a lot more money from YouTube than I do. And he's making money off of people, right? People will pay him for something. So, yeah, I'd go for a picnic in the park with C.S. Joseph, sure. I'm not opposed to talking to people. I make the offers. Nobody wants to talk to me, is the thing. If they are rolling with a bunch of cognitive function, they probably don't want to talk to me because
they're wrong.
I'm going to expose them, Santa Claus says effectively he can never be disproved as he hides behind his ENTJ empire with his minions controlling type dominion. Well, what I am saying about it is my claims are not of the sort that say he should be disproved precisely. I'm saying he's just talking in metaphors and it doesn't seem to recognize it and treats it as though we weren't. Like a different rather than disproving him. I'm not saying metaphor is necessarily poison, right? Lots of things, metaphor is useful. But if you don't even know that what you're doing is metaphor and you think it's something else, then that's a problem. As far as him dating an older woman, I don't give a fuck. That's his business. I have no judgment on him about that at all. If he wants to date a 50-year-old woman and he's 27 years old or however old he is, that's his business. I got no judgment on the guy for that at all.
Besides, Eric smokes pot out of a bong.
I know. I mean, if anything, of all the things that he has ever done or said about cognitive functions, none of them irritate me quite as much as what he said about me, which is that I could be reduced in some capacity because I had a messy backdrop and smoked weed on camera. Now, to me, that's offensive. It's like you're dismissing my ideas on irrelevant cues like that, then you deserve my contempt. You say he's a mentally disturbed ENTP? He is not an ENTP, Andrea. He's nothing of the sort. There's no extroverted intuition in that man. What do you hate him so much for, Andrea? I mean, what did he do to you? I have no idea, but did he break up with you or something? You can tell he's a jerk who's failing to thinly veil his real intent. I'm not even saying any of that shit, right? Everybody else is bringing a lot of personal attack and shit on C.S. Joseph. I'm not doing that, and I don't want to do that. I'm just saying he's wrong, and to the extent that he's making a bunch of big claims about personality type and refusing to engage me about that, he's weak as fuck. And those are perfectly reasonable claims to make. I don't know the guy. I don't know anything what he's doing over there very much. I just know that he's not talking anything sensible about cognitive functions. And the way he types people and celebrities and stuff indicates he has no idea what extroverted intuition is, which is very much the same as DSP, who doesn't seem to have a very good grasp of extroverted intuition. Okay, so as I was hoping, it seems like I get a little bit better turnout when I talk about C.S. Joseph, though, which is one thing I like a lot about C.S. Joseph, is he brings in the engagement from people, right? It's like they find it very engaging. Yeah, Damon is nice. He's also known as Chad Crandall. Okay, so let's see. Let's read some of this. This is some juicy chat here. Being more right than someone is bullying here in Clown World. That's a good one, Horse Mumbler. You can't socially engineer an INTJ if they know you're full of shit and he's completely full of shit. Well, I mean, I don't think anybody should have any interest in socially engineering anybody else. And that if they do, then that's the only issue that needs to be discussed, is why they're subject to that particular problem of wanting to do that. And whatever other matters at hand needs to be dismissed as secondary to that first question. He's too broke, says Andy. Different like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. There's something not right there, says Leo Bella. Did he protest to touch parties too much? What are touch parties, Rowan Morgan? That sounds interesting. I kind of want to host one with myself. Ooh. Oh. Ooh. Yeah. He's just mentally disturbed ENTP. He's not an ENTP, and I'm not making the claim that he's mentally disturbed. You are, which is okay. I'm not going to object necessarily to your making that claim, but it's your claim. Now imagining Joseph and Eric at the park smiling, sitting in the grass as one of them plays acoustic guitar. I'll play the guitar. Okay, like, how do you figure? Who has better TI, INFJ, or hold on one second, Kim. Who has better TI, INFJ or INFP? INFJ. Kim?
UNC is Joseph can go trumpeting along the yellow fields of flowers with copies of it. I'll take photos.
Kim had a great idea. Because in Los Angeles right now, there's the hills are abloom with yellow flowers like everywhere. It's crazy. It's a really dramatically like bloomy spring. And so she's like, she wants to take pictures of me like striding through a field of these flowers naked, with my hat. My what kind of hat?
Fedora.
my fedora hat on. And I thought it was a funny idea, but you know what would really make it work is it was me and C.S. Joseph holding hands. That would be just like the greatest. Me and C.S. Joseph buck naked holding hands, walking through the yellow flowers. And Kim takes a bunch of pictures. We get one where everything's just sort of like artfully hidden by a leaf or a, you know, that'd be perfect. That would be my like channel banner forever. Okay, let's see. Eric. I'm not trying to say you think that. I'm just wired to pick that kind of stuff up first. Oh, I don't know what you're referring to, but I'm sure it makes sense. Why do ENTJs seem to need mentors and piggybacking off systems that are already in place, while ENTPs seem to not rely on others in this way to create their own systems? Well, it's because extroverted intuition is the intentional manner of creating ideational shit, right? Or of messing with ideational shit. So naturally, we're gonna want to refine things that we see ideationally. We're best like we're kind of like ISTJs for the mechanics of ideas. So we're not necessarily gonna actually come up with the best ideas ourselves or anything. We're instead gonna refine good ideas and combine disparate good ideas into newish seeming good ideas, right? But they're not really brand new necessarily. They're taking from places and they're just making combinations and sometimes yeah. All right, let me move on. If you make a person really stubborn and then make them argue, ta-da, ENTJ. I don't know. So what's in your theory? What is your theory that would be more sound in place for the idea of general intelligence? Well, I just think it's, cognitive functions explains intelligence. Well, it doesn't explain intelligence per se. I would say, I don't know. I don't have an alt. It's not something I really think is a relevant metric, even though we obviously use it in terms of something like G, right? If you're saying, how do people use it linguistically? Well, they use it as an attribute that people possess that would be called general intelligence. That's how people use the word. What I'm saying is that's deceptive in some regard. That's not how intelligence is. Although it does seem to me that there's a certain amount of processor distinction between instances within a given type, maybe, but I'm not really sure about that. It's like all the people that I know who I believe to be actually ENTPs are just as fast as me. They're just as quick. They may not be as knowledgeable because I'm older, but they're just as fast mentally. And I consider myself very fast. They may not be as practiced as me in other things, but all the real ENTPs I know, like Becky, like Aaron, Jules' boyfriend, what you can tell when you're talking to another ENTP, when you get into a conversation and you're going full speed, both of you, and basically most other people except for INTPs or other ENTPs probably are going to have a bit of trouble following along with the whole thing. Even other TI users that are sensors might, but not necessarily. ESTPs might be fine too. ISPs might be fine too. But it's like when they get rolling and it's fast, there's a processing of language that happens. It's really quick that you can see probably in me and as an example, but what I'm saying is no different than it is in any other real ENTP that I've encountered.
If we watch a video of you and Becky Alcoin.
Yeah, we're really similar.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's one going up where it's a video where I sort of formally type her. Sort of, not really. I mean, she's formally typed, but I didn't really do the whole formal typing on the video. But anyway, it's remarkable how similar we are. And in fact, it makes me put more weight in the column of Delilah being the ESTP, because my own daughter is not as similar to me as Becky is. I would say, though, that Delilah is very similar to me whenever we're engaging about those kind of topics. Like if we are talking about topics of where there's back and forth to go, then she's very, very similar to me. But so it's hard to say. Anyway, the point is that I think intelligence in that regard may correlate more precisely with type than people think. That Becky and I, the fact that Becky and my brain are so similar and both equally quick and both of the same kind of quickness is indicative that that's probably true of all real ENTPs, and it's not really specific to the person; it's specific to the type. And that kind of quickness, it means we're most intelligent in a certain way, and then other people have a different kind of most intelligent, right? So like INTJs are most intelligent in a different way than ENTPs are most intelligent, but they're both most intelligent in their own specialized way. INTPs are most intelligent in their specialized way. It's a somewhat like there's a similarity to ENTPs. ENTPs are quicker in extroverting it and getting it out. INTPs are probably just as quick, or maybe even quicker, in doing the deliberative processes, but they're, as a consequence, less quick to extrovert them. So, it's like, how do you want to measure that? Who's the smartest, right? Well, it's everybody is the smartest at their own particular kind of
it's all relative
of attentional specialty. And even though even amongst individuals of that type, I don't think there's a big disparity, although there may be some, and people want there to be. People really want to be special, people want to be an outlier. Well, if you're an ENTP, you're going to be an outlier, but so is everybody else going to be an outlier who, if their type is rare enough. So it's like ISFJ is a pretty common type. So what Kimberly is very intelligent at, or her particular expression of intelligence that differs in ways that differ from mine, but that have their own advantages and stuff, she's going to share that advantage with a lot more people because there are a lot more ISFJs, right? But besides that, it's I don't know. People want to be special. And the answer is you get to the actual friggin' point. Jeremiah, why do you want to slap me like that? Why do you want to roll on up here and roll up your sleeve and give me a big old whoosh right across the face? I mean, I do think there are types that are rarer than others. I've gone through the world long enough to know that I occasionally encounter ENTPs, and it's pretty occasionally. Oh, you got accepted into university, Planet Ketchup?
Yes, she did. Yay.
I'm very sorry to hear that. That's going to be years of your life wasted. You have to pay for it? If you don't have to pay for it, then congratulations. You are in Canada, after all. Goddamn commies. Well, you don't have to pay for it. Okay, congratulations. So what if there was an ENTP who's 10 times faster than you as it regards to TI stuff, and also there's a high correlation with cognitive function and IQ? Well, the thing about
probably 67.
The thing about being 10 times faster than me is you got to remember that what I'm fastest at has a maximal speed, which is the natural speaking rate of people. We're talking about engaging with people in real time, back and forth, like you and I are. I have more fastness than I need in that regard. My answers can come out and my ideas come faster than I'm able to speak them and be understood clearly by people. In fact, people are always telling me to slow down. So that's why it doesn't matter if they're 10 times faster. It won't do them any good. It's extra power on a roadway on which they can't go any faster than they're going without crashing. So that's what it means to be super quick, is to have more speed than you need in the field in which you're most comfortable playing. Keep in mind, everybody has that same advantage on their own specific field where they're most comfortable playing. ENTPs is very visible because it's talking smart. Talking smart and being quick on your feet and quick-witted and stuff like that. That's really our biggest skill set. And so, well, naturally, people are going to go, well, he sounds smart. After all, what am I really good at? What am I most good at? Sounding smart.
Sex.
And well, yeah, and sex, of course. It's thank you, Kimberly. That's a good observation. Let's see here. Eric, if I was a little more informed in the world, I'd give you a run for your money. You already give me a run for my money. You and I go back and forth, but see, we're naturally engaged in dialectic. That's the thing. When you're dealing with an EHP who's not actively trying to assert dominance mode, then it's usually dialectic. So when Becky gives corrections or something or suggestions like, yeah, but that might, man, I go, okay, you're right. Actually, that's, and then I feel better informed by it. So it's like, we're not really going to have a very combative relationship by nature, because I don't think that Becky has any, well, it's partially because she's a chick, right? It's like there's that eliminates the whole male dominance thing that is implicit, even if trying not to actively activate it under most communications between males in some regard.
Even though she claims to get hard on occasion.
After observing C.S. Joseph's World Socionic Society, I think two things. He's probably LIE, and his method is based off of tallying up keywords, not good for accuracy. LIE, logical, intuitive, extrovert. That would be a TENI. That's ENTJ. That's what I think as well. So we're on the same page there, World Socionic Society. And I wanted to get to your comment earlier where you said something about how do we get him on the live stream. I don't know. I have no idea how to get him on the live stream. I don't think he wants to be on the live stream. I don't think he wants to be subjected to critique particularly. And I think that it would make him very uncomfortable. Hi, Love Lou. Good to see you. Glad you're here. It's always good to have an ESTP in the house. Knock shit over in case anything needs to get knocked over. You know, to sit really close and look at me in the eyes. I need a lot of that going on in my life, because it helps me feel like going like this. Oh no! So much presence in the moment. I can't stand it. Let's see. Somebody's gonna pay, says Jeremiah Fix. We learn our own ideas as they flow. Eric, if blah, blah, blah. I read that already. Who has better TI? ESTP or INFP? ESTP. I find my ideas are hard to put into words, so I need time to put it together, but what I say people tend to think has value. Well, that's very NITE sounding of you. ISTJs like me are everywhere. Curtis, I still don't think you're an ISTJ. Lamau Kimberly Lou. INFPs have the worst TI alongside ISFP. I wouldn't say they have the worst. I mean, I think INFPs have pretty good TI. It's a lot better than 7th slot TI, you know. You find it hard to believe Curtis, Peter Wiggett? You mean you're part of this huge mob of people over here? For take two ISFPs who are you suggesting they should all score around the same IQ score given their attentional set? Assuming they're the same age. Okay, I think age matters. Becky, I'm not even in my email. It's sleepy week. You need to learn what sleepy week means. It means I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping, lady. All right. Explain subjective, objective. Why is FETI objective? Well, the reason is because, first of all, the only functions that are really properly called objective or subjective are TI and FI. TI is objective and FI is subjective. And the reason those are the only two functions that are really properly called objective and subjective is because those are the only two that are actually judgment functions. That is to say, they judge they make a calculus that's either interested or disinterested. TI makes a disinterested calculus. FI makes an interested calculus. Now, to the extent that TE is subjective, it is so because it's in the particular. It's always applied to the logic of the particular. It's never applied to a universal logic. If it's applied to a universal logic, we're talking about TI. And if it's applied to particular logic, we're talking about TE. TE is what we do when we don't have the universal logic to apply. So this doorknob is broken. It's not subject to a universal logic. It's subject to the logic of this door and this doorknob and this instance and this thing. No matter what I think or what symbols I use, the reality in front of me is the doorknob's going to work or not, depending on what I do and depending on the circumstances entirely. So in that regard, TE is the calculus of the logic of the particular, which is always specific and not generalizable or universalizable. So as a consequence, the deciding idea or the criterion, the metric by which we determine whether something is legitimate or not, is going to be subjective or particular or personal to this instance. With TI and FE, it's the other way around. The criterion whether we decide whether something is correct or legitimate or whatever is universal or external or done by the group or whatever. So that's why we say those function pairs, if you're going to insist on calling the whole pair objective, then it's TI and FE are objective and TE and FI are subjective. Okay, but of course, when people this is the biggest problem I have with that question in general, is when people ask it, they never have a definition of objective or subjective in mind. They don't think they're sure that I'm wrong about, they're usually sure I'm wrong about TI being objective, for example, because Jung says it's subjective. But they don't actually have any definition in mind as to what they mean when they say objective and subjective. And so that's the first thing I always do, is give you a definition, which is objective is a disinterested calculus and objective is an interested calculus. Okay, so let me go back and try to see if I can keep up with this wildly successful notion of mine to title this live stream C.S. Joseph and the ensuing chat bonanza. Lovely says, lol, hey. Everyone knows ICJs hate typology. Hey world, says Lovelu. INFP have really good TI, said Mad Biscuit. They do. They have a good TI sometimes, depending on the context. I don't think INFP really care about TI though. That's the thing. Yeah, right. But they don't use it when they ought to, in my opinion, of course, as a TI dual user. If we have evidence of C.S. Joseph in possession of Megan Loboda caterpillars, could we coerce him? Okay, if C.S. Joseph is in possession of Megan Loboda's caterpillars, then he should call me. Okay, he should call me, and you just stay out of this conversation from this point forward, Jeremiah Fix. Thanks to it, you might get a finder's fee here. Okay, you might, but you just don't mess it up for me now. Okay, ISFPs are good at avoiding TI scrutiny. That's why they never look dumb. Yeah, they don't really say anything. Luann, are you a C? That is to say, an SEE. A sensory ethical extrovert. No, she's a SLE, a SLE. Okay, if we take two ISFPs the same age, one scores 85, one score 145. Well, then that would disprove my notion. But what I would say is, wouldn't entirely disprove it. You need to get some clumps of data. I would say that you'd have clear clumping points at around certain numbers for each type, if you plotted a bunch of data. I'm merely trying to provide you a sense of contentness as you listen to the audios and get excited for May 2nd. What's happening May 2nd? I don't remember what's happening May 2nd. So what, Eric, are you or are you not an ESTP? I am not an ESTP. Who says I'm an ESTP? Mad Biscuit. They don't know each other. It is the same test, and the tester doesn't know the cognitive profile of each ISFP. I mean, I'd want to see a little bit more data than just one pair of scores, but that would be the idea, is you get a bunch of people who are definitively each type and get them all to take the test and see if their scores clump around certain number points. Let's see. So regarding 4 through 8 slot functions, which would be the strongest? Okay, well, I don't like to use strength as a term really in general, although I am guilty of it sometimes. I would say that, your 5th slot is going to be very much involved in your expression of self. Your sixth slot will be very involved in your expression of self. And your eighth. Your fourth will be you'll avoid it a lot, And your seventh, you'll just be a disaster about it. It won't make any sense to you at all. Your sixth, it'll be involved to your distaste. Your fifth, it'll be involved to your pleasure. Your eighth, it'll be involved in ways you just don't really pay any attention to at all. That's a good way to sum it up. How does TE critic manifest? Well, I mean, what that means is six slot TE, right? What that means is it's a function that has a big role in your life. You do a lot of stuff with it, kind of. It plays. It's active. You have to call upon it, but of course, it's not your native choice. Thank you very much, whoever that is. Ka. No, who is that? Oh, Canadian. Oh, that's Becky. Thank you, Becky. So the thing I'm trying to say here is I'm critical of myself. I'll always say, Eric, you God damn it, Eric, you fucking stupid idiot. You did this fucking thing backwards, you moron. I really tend to lay into myself about my TE mistakes, and I make plenty of them. There are times when I have to take something off and put it on 3 times or 4 times to get it right because I keep doing it the wrong way and shit. Well, to me, what this is very expressive of as well is the aspects. So the fact that no matter what your attentional manner is, you're manifesting it in one of 2 planes of existence, either metaphysically, like this, like I'm doing now, or physically, like fixing the gate and shit, And each of us has a native comfort zone. Mine is metaphysical. And so when I'm doing stuff and when I'm applying my TE attentional manner in the physical realm, I'm really not good at it. So I tend to countervalue that whole area of shit, for one thing. But at the same time, I recognize its significance. And so I'm kind of mature and bad at it, right? Like I'm mature about being bad at it. Which is to say, I sometimes hold myself to account. I'm like, come on, Eric, don't be fucking retarded here. Do this right, So that's what it means. Okay. Would physics be classified as a universal logic or particular logic? Physics would be a universal logic. Well, I mean, I would say that physics is comprised of universal logics. That the universal logic of the physical dimension is physics. Okay. The universal logic of namely causality, is another way to put physics. Okay. And then the universal logic of the metaphysical dimension is conditional logic. So it's conditionality and causality are the 2 universalities. But the specific logics as they relate to us of given systems within the world, such as a mechanical system or a bureaucratic system or whatever, those are different matters. Okay, what function in the slot do we value in others and aspire to use more? I value SI a lot in Kimberly. I also value Kimberly's FE a lot. So I value her, what for me are my 3rd and 4th functions. I value my 5th function a lot. So I value NI in people. If I'm going to be tricked by somebody in the world who's going to take advantage of me and fool me, and I'm not very easily tricked. I may appear naive in a lot of different ways, but I'm actually usually a step or 2 ahead of the game. But if I am going to be tricked and bamboozled by somebody, it'll be an INFJ because I'm susceptible to that because of my 5th slot ignoring NI. I like NI and I tend to overbelieve it, So that's how that works. And what do we aspire to use more? Well, we want to achieve in our 3rd slot function, which means we want our attentional manner to express such that we receive certain kinds of rewards via whatever our 3rd slot function is. And we also want to achieve via our 5th. Those are our 2 validation. Our 5th is more for the external stuff in the world. So we'll validate whether something external to us is legitimate against the value of our 5th function. And we will validate whether something is valuable to us personally, whether it's money that we're getting, if it's our 3rd function or not. That's what really our money is, our spiritual money. Okay, socionics, external objective and internal subjective. The problem with that notion of of calling external objective and internal subjective is, of course, all attentional manners are internal. All attentional manners are within an individual. They are about things external to one or internal to one, but often that's a mishmash. So TI is about things both internal and external to one, right? I'm taking external blocks of words from Jack here, and I'm calculating with my TI internally, and then I'm spitting back out my results in real time to him. Saying those definitions are not meaningful because I'm using TI on things that are external, and I'm using TI on things that are internal to me. And that's totally fine. The objectivity and subjectivity can't be determined by the internality or externality then. So what we have to use is the more meaningful definition of it, which is subjective is an interested calculus, and objective is a disinterested calculus. That's why TI is objective, FI is subjective, and none of the other functions really are either. Okay, so they don't care about TI. They use it merely as a means, and the strength of it goes up as their FI in the first slot goes up. That's true. They can use it. The more they care about something, the more effective they are at it. That's well, but when it's useful to them and it supports the thing they care about. So it's like it's good for competition. If you give them a TI competition, they'll probably do well in it because they'll feel competitive and want to win it and be good. Can two people of the same type have different dexterity at particular functions? I know INFPs that are great with TI and have to verbally spar with TI users in logical manners. Well, people can learn some skills too that are like you can use TE to learn TI to a certain extent. I've had debaters who don't natively use TI who have learned lots of sort of a modular approach to debate. When you hear something like this, you play something like this, you know, and they could probably do that. But it's not really TI. It's. I mean, it is in the sense that for INFPs, when they're arguing with TI, they're using TI. But to the extent that they're really effective at it, it's probably practiced nodes that they're throwing rather than actually real-time TI being processed like that. I would guess. I've heard the argument, it's not impossible if you believe the types aren't the same in MBTI and socionics. It's not that they have different dexterity of the functions. I mean, look, every real ENTP that I think of as a real ENTP has the same basic personality as me and has the same manners. It's the same. And so all I'm saying is that there obviously might be differentiations between individuals within a given type of the way that the expression of attention plays from the perspective of others. And so others might be in agreement that this person is an ENTP who's displaying better or stronger INI than that ENTP. But what they're really saying is that display of INI is more impressive to outsiders than this display of INI. Okay. So Pukoki says, hi, Pukoki. How you doing today? You've been thinking about those brows? You've been worrying about your brows, haven't you? I want to reassure you, you are still part of Columbus's fleet, and that's only the top 4% of brows even make it into Columbus's fleet. Now, sure, maybe you are the Santa Maria, okay? But better the Santa Maria than just some unnamed ship from some other random Spaniard. So think about it. Feel good about that. Okay, let's see. You can still see me as being an SLE? ESTP? Me? Really? You can't be talking to me. Or she might be. Peter Wiggett, what the fuck did I just hear? I don't know what you just heard. C.S. Joseph wrote GWFP equals ESTP on the whiteboard. On his whiteboard, he wrote ESTP? Oh, no. Now that's on his whiteboard. It must be true. Did he use one or two colors? I want to know. You're serious? Really? You wrote TWFP equals ESTP? Really? I'm so not an ESTP. He doesn't mean that. He's just trolling. It would be funny if he actually thought that, though. See, it's just the typological terms. LIE is a logical, intuitive extrovert, and that is a ENTJ. Hey, Eric, I come up to know your opinion about C.S. Joseph. Well, I think he's very TE, very ENTJ, very much not an ENTP, and very metaphorical in his arbitrary understanding of type and typology. That's what I think about him. In other news, Eric Thor, great guy, could be SEI instead of IEI. Oh, you think Eric Thor could be a sensory ethical introvert, which is SEFI? No. I see. Oh, ISFJ? You mean you think he's an ISFJ? SEI is ISFJ, right? I don't think he's an ISFJ. I don't hear any SI in him, really. Okay, but he might be, I guess. I have to really think about it. That was a phenomenal interview, Jack. Who did you interview, Jack? I want to know what was a phenomenal interview. Who did you interview, Thor? Eric Thor is probably really an INFJ, says Eurolam. I think he's an INFJ as well. I thought TI is only conditional logic, not causal. TI is conditional logic. Causal logic is the universal logic of physics, basically. Physics is the description of causality as it plays out in the world. As vectors cause objects and agents to interact with each other. Do you think C.S. Joseph believes he's an ENTP? I think at this point he knows he's not, but he's kind of stuck with it and he doesn't know what to do about it. Eric is way nicer than you, Pukoki. Well, he's also Scandinavian. You got to remember the Scandinavians are a little bit cinnamon bunny. Okay, they really like cinnamon buns. Put it that way. If you did not even eat cinnamon buns at the Swedish embassy all day, you'd be super much like that too. Okay. Don't discount the impact of Scandinavia. Oh, you did, Rebecca Talibi. You sent payment through PayPal. I appreciate your videos. Please let me know when I can sometimes be typed. Did you email me? Or are you the person? Are you Gina? If you are, then I will check my email as soon as I'm done with this, and I'll talk.
Yeah, went through.
Oh yeah, Kim just says went through. Cool. I don't want to be rude, but something looked wrong with C.S. Joseph. Well, a lot of people have been saying things like that, but all my point is that his ideas of typology are wrong, that his four sides of the mind is silly and arbitrary and metaphorical and not anything.
It's pretty obvious what looks different about him.
Kimmy, are you going to say something mean?
Yes, I am. So I'm not going to say anything, but I already know what the deal is with him.
Well, now I got to know. I got to find out what it is.
Well, he's really battling with his identity.
He's battling with his identity?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, he grew up being told that he is wonderful and special, and then he got very large, and he was kind of stifled as a human being in his weight, and then he went through gastric bypass, and so now he's trying to re-identify himself, and I am a man, see me roar, sort of a thing.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with
but there is definite trauma and damage that comes with previously being a fat person turned thin.
Well, then, I mean, I certainly don't want to bully the guy at all.
No, but I'm just saying he's dealing with his own inner challenges, that one that doesn't really understand what going through that is like. I mean, that's what is different about him, is you can see in him physically that he's dealt with some trauma.
Well, and that's a good reason to not want to just bash the guy. And I certainly don't generally bash the guy. I mean, I don't at all bash the guy. I'm always bashing his idea of cognitive functions. And I guess I do sometimes make fun of his ways, like his guy. But I mean, okay, to the extent that I'm feeling bad for him, I also need to remember he's spending the vast majority of his time in an environment that's very affirming to him, where everyone's like, "Oh, C.S. Joseph, why is C.S. Joseph telling me the way?" So it's not like he should be lacking in self-confidence in some regard,
He was at one time.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just trying to see how guilty I should feel for busting his chops.
He probably basks in the fact that he's, enlightened in the second portion of his life with love. He has his life back now. He's not,
Okay, so jonesing for meatloaf, I would be glad to do that. All you have to do is provide me concrete, operationalized definitions of things that you will accept as a set of arguments that's objective. So once we agree on definitions, I can gladly and easily do that for you. But until you agree on definitions, then what you're saying is a subjective test. Okay, jonesing for meatloaf? That's what that means. That's what you're doing here. Is you're saying, if you can pass my subjective test, I would give you money. Well, let's make it an objective test and I'll pass it. Okay, we'll agree on some definitions that are operationalized, which means you can use them to make arguments, and then I'll gladly pass your test, no problem. But that's the big stopping point for you. There is you don't want to probably agree to those. You don't want to allow that to be done with meaningfully agreeing on definitions that one can use to do that. You don't want to provide a means by which one can attain the criterion you set to be met, which is why it's bullshit. Okay, so am I Bulgarian? No, I'm not a Bulgarian. TI is external because it can be conveyed as is without reinterpretation. So can TE, SE, and SI. TE cannot be conveyed as it is without reinterpretation. It's non-communicable. That's one of the reasons why it's particularist. Same thing with SE and SI. None of those three can be conveyed meaningfully, communicated. Okay, it has to be converted into something else to be communicated, right? So the things that can be communicated are the things that are naturally communicable and inherent to communication are NE, TI, FE, and NI. Those are the communication ones. Those are the ones related to symbols and words. So that's wrong, Jack. Let's see. I think that TEFI is about integrity of information. Those aren't meaningful statements. Those are just metaphorical nonsenses about integrity and clarity of information. It's a nice way of understanding things, maybe, but that's not a meaningful definition of things that allow us to actually be conclusive about this objectivity-subjectivity question. It's just shifting ground. You're playing in the big leagues now, Jack. You're not enjoying your normal massive advantage that you enjoy over other people. ESFJs have the lowest potential for high IQ because IQ is correlated with NI, and they have NI polar. Except Mad Biscuit, then that would mean that ESTJs would also be low potential for high IQ, and I don't think that's the case. I would tend to agree ESFJs are not going to score well on IQ tests, but I mean that's part of what I don't like about IQ tests is they inherently. It's a way of smart people making themselves feel better about themselves for being smart or something. I don't know. Your beard looks chavvy. I don't know what chavvy means. Lakshi Bahita Chachi. Let me see those TITEs. Good one, Peter Wiggett. That should become a typology community staple pickup line right there. That should be a staple. Everyone should bust that out. Sinjin, good to see you. Always good to see Sinjin in the house. If you hear an ENFP being logical, it's the logic of somebody else. That's a good point. Gaelic Belgay. Jones in for meatloaf. Okay, will do. Email me and I'll make a proper argument. You got to set it up like I did. You know, he's got to agree to, or else you're wasting your time, Jack. He's just going to shift ground and shift. He's going to move the goalposts, as they say. That's all. He'll just move the goddamn goalposts. Okay, let's see. I'm doing well. I was just talking to Megan. Oh, were you asking her to comfort you about the browse thing? Were you saying, listen, I've got to process this. I've got to get over it. Megan, I'm going to just admit it. I'm really, really jealous of your brows. Ho, 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 ha, 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 ho, ho, Kim's analysis. Santa Claus, that's not very Christmassy of you. Lovely, are you also a fat person turned thin? You don't look like you were ever fat. He's wrong, but he's succeeding. I agree with you. He is wrong and succeeding. And to me, that makes it perfectly reasonable what I'm doing in terms of critiquing him. I'm not launching personal attacks on the guy. I am just saying he's wrong. I'm not talking about his weight or whatever. Although I think Kimberly's assessment of the situation may be a good one. I don't really know. I don't really tend to make those kind of assessments. But, you know, she's doing the FE calculus, obviously, that I'm not going to prioritize this, not so much. Let's see. INFJ that thinks they are INTJ. You know what, Quicksilver 17? Talk to Senjen. Talk to Senjen about that. That's my answer to that. Senjen, can you answer Quicksilver 17's question there? It's John Beebe School of Typology. Well, there's nothing wrong with John Beebe School of Typology unless you misunderstand what it is. Like, if you think it's something more than metaphor, then you're going to treat it as something more than metaphor, and that's not going to be a good thing. And Santa Claus says, I like the beefy elves. They fill my stockings. That's good. Pukoki says, oh, weird. I feel like I'm learning more and more about brows by talking with Megan. She's the one to ask, you know. Let's see. John Beebe doesn't speak of the subconscious integration notion that C.S. Joseph likes to popularize. Yeah, that's the thing that's most silly about it. The notion that you were living in your shadow self for this period of time and blah, 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 blah. It's not. If you're either using those cognitive functions or you're not. If you are on a regular basis, then you're that type and you're not going to change that type. And so, yeah. Winter says, hit the like button, everybody. Only 14 likes and 52 people in here. Exclamation point, question mark? No, exclamation point. Thank you for that, Winter. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Let's see. I am pretty well versed in psychology and wanted to see the shit people give him. And he explains very well. Thank you, Quicksilver 17. Objective can be objectified by multiple parties on the ground of existence. Okay, Mad Biscuit, that's a good way to define objective data. Data that can be accessed equally by everybody and interpreted independently by everybody is objective data. That's a good definition of objective data. C.S. Joseph has to see this. Well, I don't know if liking this is going to help C.S. Joseph see this, but that's a fine notion there. Thank you. About Eric Thor, he is not like me on a lot of levels, but I still think he's an INFJ. I think he just tried to rush NI process too much for its own good or something. Well, he's trying to make videos, you know. He's trying to put out content, and sometimes he's trying to put out more content than the pace of the NI is providing him. I can understand that. I respect that, you know, is going to be an issue or something. Eric, on the contrary, FE, FI, NE, NI need reinterpretation for communication. FI can't be really communicated because your feelings, they can be symbolized. Everything can be rendered into an object on the metaphysical field. Everything, okay? So let's start right there. There is nothing that can't be rendered into an object on a metaphysical field, and there's nothing that isn't rendered into a metaphysical object. It has to be named and understood and talked about. So let's start right there. Now, the thing that can be least successfully named and talked about and communicated are experiential things. My personal experience can be named and communicated, but it's only capturing the meanings of that experience, not the experience itself. The experience itself is always high resolution. So we look at which functions are high resolution in that fashion, and we realize that it's FI, SE, SI, and uh, TE. Those are all high resolution. They require you to deal with the particulars, the reality of things, the experience of things, the actual whole of the moment. Whereas the other functions, the metaphysical functions, TI, FE, NI, NE, they require you to deal with the symbols of the things, the representational end of things, which is why we're so fast at what we're doing, is because we're only dealing in low resolution stuff. We're dealing in the concepts, the words, the abstractions, and we're not dealing in the reality of shit. We're trying not to. The reason I'm always going like this is because I'm not attending to what I'm doing with my body very much. I have to remember to do that for FE reasons. Because this is experiential high resolution attention, my body. Whereas words are metaphysical low resolution attention. So, no, you're wrong about that. You should watch more of my videos. Yes, ESTJs also have low potential for IQ. Yes, that is the case. Okay, well, maybe fine. Liv likes because YouTube AI to promote the video and suggestion bars. Oh, I see. Okay, well, that might be the case. That probably helps that. I don't know if that helps a whole lot or not. Strauss is the president of the Association of Nations, president of Non-Aligned Worlds. I want to be president of the United States, actually. Eric, I agree there's some of that gloating, but again, how do we explain those outliers regardless of type of ESTJ with an IQ of 16 and INTJ? Well, I mean, then, look, I'm not saying it's a firm rule. I'm saying that we'd probably see, in general, clumps of data points around numbers where the types land. So, I mean, that's just what I think. If you were to, and you see some outliers, but it's like, let's say you get everyone a color. Most of the blues would be here. There might be a blue over here, too. There might be a blue over here, too. Most of the blues would be here. You know? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. INFJ thinks INTJ find themselves too cold to have FE auxiliary. Just reminding them that FE auxiliary people are still introverts and that FE is not necessarily warm. It's perceptive about people's motivations and their intentions and stuff. If it's based on type and the data we have on IQ, that shouldn't happen. Well, I mean, I agree if it were a perfect system, if it were a perfect world, that there would be no exceptions to that. And that would indicate that there's at least the capacity for variation within individuals, regardless of type, on something like general intelligence. It would support your position on that somewhat. Yeah. But I don't think we have the data regardless. It's not going to be perfect because it's possible, first of all, to get the type of somebody wrong. We have to be able to falsify that first to make sure that the data is right. Although I trust a group of people I typed as the pool of control, and I mean the pool of people to take the test and what their types are. What is this? Why are you doing Jesus spamming stuff, Jeremy Bailey? There's no reason for that. Even if Jesus is Lord and he was born again and he did say that we must repent and all that kind of stuff.
Would you like to be waxed on camera?
Does this seem to be to you a good medium for you to be expressing that sentiment? I mean, if anything, it's likely to produce a certain amount of antagonism towards your message because it's so irrelevantly spammy, you know? It seems to do a disservice to the Lord, you might say. Okay, Savage Studio. What types is most likely to think and see images? Sure, you're going to wax me where? How?
I'm going to wax your nose. So clean out the inside of your nose right now with this.
Clean out the inside of my nose with this.
Just kind of go like, yeah.
This is, I'm sure, what everybody wants to see on a live stream. We're now going to wax the inside of my nose, apparently.
Scissors.
Scissors? Yeah, here's some little scissors. Okay, so let me go down and see what is next on this while I'm getting my nose, inside my nose waxed.
These don't work.
What types is most likely to think and see an image? I know it sounds weird, but just like a fine blanket over images. I mean, I tend to think that, I put it this way. I tend to think that sensory people are more image-based, intuitives more auditory based, because auditory is the basis of the most basic thing in a metaphysical ecosystem is language, which is auditory. And so I think in general sensors tend to be more visual. But I've seen INTJs be quite visual as well. So it may be a TE thing, a TETEI thing. I'm not sure. Okay, well, we're a socionic society. You've already lost this battle. You may not know it yet, but if we want to have this back and forth on objective subjective, you're going to end up being converted to my side. I can promise you this. So you might as well do a little bit of watching of my videos on objectivity and subjectivity, which I have multiple. All you got to do is do a channel search for objective or subjective, and you'll see. And deal with the actual arguments I'm making. And instead of making these response videos, you're going to go, okay, I now understand things a lot better. Now Eric's clarified where socionics is wrong on objectivity and subjectivity, and he's right about it. And this is why. And you'll end up adopting my perspective on it. Because no matter, you're fucked. Trust me. I know all the argument chains. You're absolutely fucked. So you're going to end up on my side because you don't want to be in that position. I know you. Yeah. All right, so apparently this is a way to get rid of hairs on the inside of your nose. Obviously, I've never had this done before, but did you get any?
I don't think so.
Didn't work?
No.
That's because my nose is full of wax. You didn't let it dry enough, I don't think.
Okay, so we're trying again.
Okay, so we're doing nose waxing today on Talking with Trans People live stream, and it didn't work last time, but we're gonna try it again. So, good night, Jack. Do I need to be thinking images? Probably. I mean, everybody thinks in images sometimes. The DSP put audio and image with masculine and feminine functions. So that's
Stick it in
silly.
your nose and press it up against the wax to try to get the wax out.
Okay.
Like squeeze your nose so that it stays in there.
Waxing in the nose takes a while. Says, just think about it. He must be an expert in nose waxing. Okay. Let's see. HP Throwdown Brewing. Shots fired. Well, yeah, I'm not going to let Jack be wrong about stuff and just. All right, give me another one of those alcohol thingies, please. That'll help me get this wax out of here.
Okay, here, where's the tissue? Look at the tissue.
Here, take this paper towel. Okay. I'm auditory. I'm much more auditory than visual, Mad Biscuit. And the reason is because I'm an intuitive any person.
I think your nose hairs are too thick. You're on your own.
The alcohol is pretty good. Let me get some alcohol for the outside of my nose too, which also has wax on it. This was a disastrous mess, Kimberly.
Sorry. I tried.
Okay, so I am getting into politics, David Sanderson. I actually want to run for president. I was going to run for president in 2020, but my circumstances with my elderly parents and taking care of my aging mother and stuff make it such that I'm going to have to wait till 2024. I do want to be president. I believe I'm well qualified to be president as a policy debate coach. I spent a lot of time arguing and thinking about I've announced this many times before. I wanted to start in 2020. It was a little premature. I have to wait till 2024. And I am very serious about it. And I am going to run for president. And the reason I am is because I genuinely believe myself to be the best qualified person in the country to do it. I believe myself to understand public policy extremely well due to my job and my my background in policy debate and stuff. Would I run as a Democrat, Republican, or independent? I'd prefer to run as an independent. I specifically don't want to be partisan. And one of my main points is going to be, we don't have to understand things as being partisan, and we don't have to understand things as being extreme or moderate or whatever. We can deal with and should deal with things on an issue by issue basis, and we should respond to each of the particular concerns of the country as it particularly dictates. That it's ill-advised to be too ideological about anything if you're actually in a position to run the country, and I don't want to be ideological. So, while somebody might say I'm libertarian in my politics, I don't plan to be an ideologue, and I'm not in terms of actually governing. In terms of making decisions, my policy agenda will be one of what's best for the country. And I can give plenty of information about specifically what that is. In fact, I have a platform already written that is mostly written. It's not all the way done, but right. Jabroni Cast Cestus, I am pro-life, and I'm pro-life because pro-life wins the argument chains. Okay. So the thing is, what does that mean politically? Does that mean that I'm a conservative? Does it mean I'm an extremist? Does it mean I hate women's reproductive rights or something like that? No, it means that the truth of the matter is, despite my wanting to be pro-choice when I was younger, I couldn't win the argument when I did a disinterested calculus on the argument chains for both sides of it. So I'm anti-abortion because it doesn't win. It fails to justify its behavior on normative calculi. So the thing is, that's my position of abortion. But I will also say this: I am not interested in it particularly as a high priority agenda item. I'm not interested in seeing changes to abortion laws necessarily. I'm not going to pursue that. If a bill lands on my desk that is some sort of thing that's going to limit abortion, I'm going to have to take into consideration, first of all, whether it's going to withstand Supreme Court muster. If it's got a chance to withstand Supreme Court muster, in other words, it's a well-written enough bill that I'm willing to send the Justice Department in to defend it in the Supreme Court, then yeah, I'd sign it. But if you're worried about me implementing some sort of crazy anti-abortion agenda that is dominating my presidency, that's not going to happen. I'm not interested in spending a lot of time on it at all, frankly. And if it lands in front of me, fine. That's my position on abortion. I don't think any good is going to necessarily come of arresting and putting people in jail for abortion and calling it murder. Like, do you want to arrest everybody you know who's gotten an abortion and have them in jail now for murder? I don't think you probably want that either. So my position is, as I stated about it, I'm pro-life, but it's not an agenda item that's high on my list. Well, what I'm saying, Jabroni Cestus, is if the legislature, remember how laws get passed, okay? When I'm president, the legislature is going to pass laws and put them on my desk for me to sign or not. I'm president. I'm not the legislature, and I'm not the Supreme Court. I have my job to do. What I'm saying is, as president, I will sign such legislation. If you are asking me, as president, will I direct my attention as an administration to addressing the abortion issue? The answer is no. That's not going to be my priority as a policy agenda. And that doesn't mean I'm saying we shouldn't do anything about it. It's saying I'm telling you what I will do in my capacity as president, given the dictates and the specifics of that job. I've got a lot of things that are important to worry about. And for me personally, as a candidate, that's not at the top of my agenda. If that's the most important issue to you and you're a voter, then you should find somebody who's either more pro-life than me and does promise to make it an agenda point and assume that they're going to be successful at doing that more than I will, or just recognize that the president isn't a king, right? The president's not an emperor. The president has a specific job to do. So shouldn't we do anything about abortion being a tool of racists to murder blacks disproportionately? First of all, if we were going to do something about that, that would have to be factually established. So I don't know how you would establish that, and it wouldn't matter at all anyway. Remember, to the extent that abortion is murder, that is to say, it's the killing of a human life, then it doesn't matter why it's being killed. It's not being killed for any just reason. Therefore, it's the same regardless of the motivation behind it, whether it's racist or sexist or whatever. It's still equally wrong because it's the same rights violation. So it doesn't matter if it's racist. And the fact that you think it's racist means you believe in race, which automatically means you're a racist. If you believe in race and you think about it, that it matters, you're a racist. I'm not a racist because I'm transracial. I've been all the different races. Who cares whether Margaret Sanger wanted to kill blacks with abortion or not? The point is, abortion is the same rights violation regardless of your sensationalized, emotional appealing stories, right? You're basing it on a false notion that race exists, first of all, and that people can be racist. People can be hateful, again, and choose arbitrarily a group of people on some arbitrary metric if they want. They can be hateful against tall people, for example. That doesn't mean that tall people really are fundamentally different from short people. It just means that they're taller, right? Same thing with race. Race isn't an actual thing. So you're off on totally the wrong foot here. You're approaching the question totally from the wrong angle. You got it all back-assward, and you're not thinking well. You're simply not thinking well. Jabroni says this is the only way to put it. You're thinking quite poorly. So that probably won't earn me your vote. But hopefully it'll allow you to reflect a little bit about how to approach these things in a much more sensible fashion. The things you're saying don't matter, right? It doesn't matter if I killed a bunch of people because I wanted to steal their money or because they were tall or because they were skinny, or it doesn't matter if it's a rights violation. And thinking about that takes away from the only thing that does matter. No, it is true because you believe in something that's factually false. So what do you think about me given the fact that I'm transracial? Do you have any opinions about what that tells you about me? Anything at all? Then you're a racist. Because I'm transracial, and I can tell you that I encompass all of the races because I've been all the races. So anything you might say about me based on my race makes you a racist and a scumbag because I'm the most minority of all minorities. I'm transracial. There are only a few of us. So that makes you a hated oppressor. Okay? You're a hated oppressor, and you need to own that right now. You own what a hated oppressor you are. You patriarch. You oppressive patriarch. I don't like that. You'd say that makes me mentally... See, this is the sort of racism I face as a transracial individual, Jabroni Cestus. You claim that my transracial identity is a mental illness? Well, I claim, sir, that you are engaged in ontological violence against me. You are an oppressor and a patriarch. You are the problem. You are the one advocating violence, ontological violence against transracial people. That's your fucking problem. Okay? Jeez. Can you believe how racist this guy is? Hates transracial people. When you hate transracial people, Jabroni says this. No, I said ontological violence, Jabroni says this. Ontological violence. Violence against my identity with your words, okay? Because I'm transracial and you can never know what it's like to be transracial. You don't know my experience. You don't know me, okay? So what that means is you're the oppressor. Your privilege, take your privilege and shove it up your butt, mister, okay? I'm tired of your patriarchy. I'm tired of your privilege. Being transracial means I'm blacker, browner, whiter, peacher, redder, greener than anybody else. So just shove it up your ass. But thanks for proving I'm mentally ill. Jabroni says that if you actually think that I proved my mental illness to you, then you actually are mentally ill. But of course, you don't actually think that. You're just flailing wildly in a effie doomed spiral. You're not more transracial than me. I'm the most transracial person. I've been every race, including Guatemalan. You're a Syrian refugee. That's one race, bitch. I'm every race. I've been Syrian. I've been a Syrian. I've also been a Moroccan. Okay? I've been African. I've been Asian. I've been Native American. I've been Eskimo. I've been all of those things. So you can take your Syrianness and shove up your Syrian ass. Okay? I've been both kinds of Syrians. I've been all kinds of Syrians. I'm also transgender, in case you don't know. I go from manly to super manly and back again. I'm also transageal, which means I go from age 7 to 85 and back again. All different kinds of ages. So, I guess that also proves to you that I'm mentally ill. Thanks for more ontological violence, Jabroni Cestus. Your words are hurting my feelings and my tenderness and my dampness, okay? You need to respect my tender dampness. Stop dangling your wicked identity politics into my tender dampness. Okay, Susie, now that is a critique I've heard before, that it's not fair that I get to be every race and other people have to be just one race. But they don't have to. They can choose to be transracial too. It's a choice. Ryan Harrison chooses his race. He chooses white. That's fine. I'm not transspecies, but I'm working on it, Evelyn. Good notion. Did you charge my ancestors the jizya? No, I'm not trans-timal. I don't travel in time, okay? I don't go back in time, Jabroni says this, and forward in time. I'm transageal. My age changes, but I'm always in the contemporary moment, obviously. Okay, I'm not a time traveler. There's no such thing as that. That would be mental illness. The guy would say, we're a time traveler. You'd be right. You can't be that. Other things, identity things are always your choice, okay? You get to choose what your identity is. Right now, I'm a short, squat, Aboriginal woman. And deal with it. Okay? It means I got a lot of sass. Deal with it. No, I'm not trans-typal. There's no such thing. I think I've always been human. I may have been Neanderthal briefly. You can kind of see the Neanderthal right here if you look. Yeah, Ryan's right, Jabroni. You're upsetting me. Quit it, dude. Okay? You're upsetting me. And that is causing my wetness to spill on Ryan's hand. And since my wetness is urine, now he's got pee on his hand. And it doesn't smell good. Quit smelling your fingers, Ryan. It's my pee, for God's sake. Eric, have you ever been turquoise? I haven't been turquoise yet, but I have been a tortoise. Oh, I am transspecial. If you choose white, can you play first, though? If you choose white, you can play first if it's organized by most reflective of sunlight. Okay? But if it's organized by least reflective, then that's going to be the opposite. Your existence is offensive, Jabroni. David Sanderson, take it easy on Jabroni. He's just a little bit of an FI person, I think. Isn't transageal what pedophiles say? I hope not. I'm transageal, meaning my age changes, okay? My woman is 47, the same age as me. I've had 3 wives, and I have 1 daughter, and my wives have all been the same approximate age as me, or somewhat younger, actually. My last wife was somewhat younger, but definitely an adult. Are you sure? You were pretty ENFP for a second there. Me? I'm ENFP? Yeah. Well, I guess you don't understand what ENFPs do then. That skull structure evolution stuff is bunk. I don't want to get into evolution right now. Eric's polar FI is very offended right now. He's playing into his NE. Yeah, my polar FI is offended. You're using your feelings. Hey! Get those moist towelettes away from me. Wait, I thought you said I was FE earlier. I said you were doing an FE attack. I'm not saying you're FE. I'm saying that you're trying to hurt my feelings. That's an FE style attack, trying to manage my perceptions. Everybody does that to some extent. You don't have to be an FE attender to do that. So, yeah. Humans and Neanderthals can't interbreed. I'm interbreeding with one right now inside of me. Jabroni Cestus loves attention. Well, so do I. Nothing wrong with loving attention. And Jabroni's right, Jeremiah. That is racist. Saying that you love attention is very racist. Okay. What if the toilets were dry? Would you make them moist? I moisten the inside of the toilets with my urine every day. Eric isn't an ENFP. I can getting coal in your stocking. What that means is he shoves a handful of dirt up your butt. Santa says coal in your stocking. What he really does, he gets a handful of mud from your yard and he shoves it up your ass when you're sleeping. There, naughty fuck. It's only for adults he does it that way. Well, really, just for Jabroni, he does it that way. Anyway, I'm going to end this live stream. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. Thanks for being here. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Becky, for the super chat. Thank you, everyone, for the entertainment. Thank you, Santa Claus, for not shoving your fist at my ass last Christmas. I appreciate that. Thank you for Jabroni for the entertainment. Pretty effective trolling, all in all. So good job there. And don't forget to eat. Oh, yeah. And thanks, C.S. Joseph. Thanks for bringing in the extra large audience today into my live stream. I appreciate that. Talking about you is always a joy. You're a special guy. You know, chin up there, buddy. Pat you on the back. Don't worry. I'm not making these personal attacks. You're just super, super wrong. Don't worry about it. It's not anything. A lot of people are wrong in the world.